Hi, hello, welcome to episode 1 of Frustration Nation. The three of us are now working remotely as we should in accordance to our country's social distancing measures, which have in fact increased today, I think. Like, we're gonna be in lockdown for another. Okay, they don't call it a lockdown, they call it a circuit breaker, right? So, we're gonna be in a circuit breaker for another 4 weeks. So, that's the state of where we're at. So, I wanted to reach out to my brothers in suffering.
Hello, Berlin. You're Berlin. I'm Jet. And Drake, who are you?
I don't know who I am, but I go by Drake.
Neither do
Yeah,
I. I'm sorry,
thanks.
man. Yeah, we are all like floating in a miasma. Yes. So we are the brothers in suffering, and this is Frustration Nation.
So, how you guys feeling? How have you left the house in a few days?
2 days ago, I wanted to get Ben and Jerry's, so I went to the nearby supermarket at like 2 a.m. just to avoid the crowd.
Did you get the ice cream?
Yeah, there were only 3 flavors left, which I was sad about.
Which flavor did
I
you
got
go
the chocolate fudge pudding one. I forgot what it's called. And the
That's
other
a good
is
choice.
the other is the one with peanut butter chunks and the cookie dough.
I'm a chocolate therapy guy. That's the
Ah,
one that
yes.
uses like every conceivable.
That is what
chocolate
it's called,
thing in
chocolate
it,
therapy. Yeah.
That makes me happy. Oh man, yeah. Did I leave the house? I went to go buy lunch with my mom a couple of days ago, and then my dad and I, like, our new thing. I guess my dad's new thing, because I'm always like this, is Manao soda. So it's the type of soda made from the green limes that you find in like Thailand and Vietnam, and it's by Schweppes. It's delicious. It's like this limey, like it's a limeade basically. But like the thing that is supposed to taste like that is supposed to be like flavored after is like right halfway in between the lemon and the lime, so it tastes just a little bit different from like your regular lemonade.
Wow.
That's
Very descriptive.
Yeah,
Thank you, Jen.
I can taste it in my mouth.
Schweppes,
Yeah.
you know where to send. You can taste it, right? Yeah. So we were running out, and then my dad was panicking. So we went and raided. Like, I think it's a specific thing that not everywhere stocks, because the stock comes in from Thailand. Yeah, so we found it at like an Economart that's near where we are. And then I don't know where my dad went further afield to go and get more of it, but I didn't go out today. I went out like 2 days ago or yesterday.
What about you, Kim?
I haven't left the house in 2 weeks. Woo! I'm well set for this extended circuit breaker.
Week 3 of circuit breaker. I haven't been
Okay.
happy in 23 years.
Ah,
High five. Yeah, I'm a little bit older than you.
he's just
so.
a little bit of a
I
daddy.
haven't
He's
been
just a
happy
little
in
bit older.
23 plus. Oh no, do not describe me. Oh no. This is off to a very
All
very
right.
good start. All right, so friends, what are we gathered here to talk about today? There is a
My
topic
brothers.
at hand that I was very itchy to. Yeah, I was very like I was like, we need to talk about this before it evaporates from the news cycle and
Yeah,
goes into the
my brothers. So we know what we're here for.
I'm
We're
catching this with
here
my
for-
hands. Yeah, I'm catching the ephemeral matter with my hands.
We are here for our one and only virus Vanguard.
Yeah, so boy, all right. So I think, like, I want to preface this by saying we're not here just to laugh at the thing, because I feel like that's been done to death in the few hours that
Yeah,
this has been a thing. In the slightly over 24 hours that this has been a thing, we're recording this on the 21st of April at about 9:35 p.m. So real time, like status update about the virus Vanguard. So we're gonna laugh at it, because how can you not? But we also wanna analyze the content of it, what's
And like
quote-unquote
how
wrong
we even
with
got
all of
here.
this.
Like how did this become a thing?
Yeah. And like the moment I saw this, and there was another group chat where we were talking about this, I felt like, oh, this is so specifically the kind of thing that Berlin and I are into, and I'm not sure about you as well, Drake, but I feel like, yeah, if we're all doing this together, this is that intersection of what makes us frustrated. It's all the things that can go wrong in this like perfect little stew.
It's just incredible.
It is, yeah.
I'm sure there's like a dozen meme channels on YouTube SG that have done this already, but it's just it's a gift that keeps on giving, basically. So the virus Vanguard are 5 superheroes that gov.sg has presented that can fight our medical battles in a parallel world.
Yeah, so basically, like, what they wanted to do is they wanted to make a super team that fights COVID-19, and then each member of the team kind of represents one facet of the national battle against the virus. And the origins of this are, like, I had seen a few weeks earlier, there were these comic book artists from Singapore who had done a similar concept, but that one was something they did on their own. So the characters that they came up with are not entirely the same as what we got in this official lineup that gov.sg has given us, but there are a lot of similarities. So I feel like gov.sg saw that and then hired one of the people who worked on it. Is like, can you do this but to our brief? So I feel like that was probably the origin of it, was that there is actually a grassroots element to it. It's not like this is the government clapped their hands and ordered something out of thin air. Like, there's an element of that to this, and that's why it went wrong. But it's important to kind of look at the starting point, and I don't think there was any malicious intent behind this, no matter how it turned out. But along the way, people got hurt. People gonna get hurt.
Yeah, man. It only started with a kiss. How did it end up like this?
It was only a kiss. It was only
And just,
a kiss.
this is just something that we keep seeing over and over again, where there's always been grassroots interests in the arts and attempts to make it like really big and relevant, and sometimes it succeeds, but other times the government commissions something out of it and it all goes wrong, and this was just a perfect storm of a lot of the things that make freelancer artists' life a bit hell, like a bit of a hellscape. So where do you want to start? Do you want to start with people's reactions to it, or do you want to go through the wonderful characters themselves?
Yeah, I think we should do a character breakdown. And I think before that, like, I wanted to add on to what you said. It's not like we haven't seen anything like this before. Like, honestly, if this had just come out and I'd seen this and I'd have, like, cringed a little bit and gone, oh, okay, this is another one of those things, and then I'd have moved on. But it was the response. It was pulling it and getting a 404 when you clicked on it. It was the quote-unquote apology. It was all the people who were involved in it coming out one by one and trying to explain their part of it. So it really snowballed into a much, much bigger shit show than it should have been. Like, if it had just... The rollout was not well executed, but if it had stopped at that and there were no damage control measures, it would not have been as bad as things are now. So to me, the response was a very big part of creating... of like snowballing it and making this a much worse thing than it was, like, to begin with, as bad as it already doesn't make any sense at all.
It's like those YouTuber apologies that go completely wrong. Like,
yes, and this was that, like, in fast motion. You're hearing the Benny Hills theme song.
Yeah, it just...
Okay, so let's meet the virus Vanguard,
the virus
our friend.
Vanguard. So first up, we have our very own circuit breaker. She has a Gundam. She controls a robot. It's a biomorphic robot, and it's solar powered, and it's piloted by a 12-year-old genius named Mini Mo. So Mini, as in Mini. So she...
Yeah. Mo as in MOH.
Mini... Oh my god, I just realized that.
Yeah, I just realized that as well.
Mini Mo, as in mini ministry. Okay. So...
Yeah, it's a little girl called Ministry of Health is piloting her Gundam.
Oh my goodness. Can you imagine your parent naming you like this? But this is not the worst.
Yeah, we are starting off easy.
She's still okay. So her backstory is that she was volunteering at a nursing home as part of school CIP when one of the patients took a particular liking to her.
Creepy.
Yeah, that's not good. I don't like the way you said it. A particular liking.
I didn't read it like that, but like, I think... Do you want me to continue using this voice?
Yes, please.
Alright. right?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm cutting you off.
This person in the CIP, like in the nursing home, for some reason this genius is in a nursing home. This person gives Minimo, the 12-year-old, a tiara, which when worn will unleash a humanoid machine. Circuit breaker.
From where? From
Wait.
where?
Does it live in the? Does the
Is it like
robot
one of
live
those
in the
genie in a
tiara?
bottle kind of a situation?
I think it's like
Or is it? Is
It's
Black
like
Panther's
Wings
costume,
Club.
where the entire costume like emanates from the vibranium necklace?
it's like Sailor Moon or Wings Club, like when you wear a certain item or you're given a certain item, you can sort of summon a robot or something like that.
Like fighting virus.
So
by
okay, so
by-
it just jumps out of your peripheral vision,
Yeah,
It apparates,
like appears like Voltron. I
or like
don't
from
know.
the
But
sky.
to interrupt you some more, this origin story is probably like everyone wonders, right, when they watch Back to the Future, how did Marty meet Doc Brown? This is what happened, right? Doc Brown is an old guy in a nursing home who, like, one day Marty was doing his CIP. he
And
was
Doc
like,
Brown just took a particular
"Kid, I like
liking
you.
to
Let me
him.
show you my time machine." Yeah.
Very different movie than I remember.
Right, yeah. Isn't that because like everyone, it starts with them already friends, and wait, how?
Also, why did they call her a genius if she didn't build the thing?
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's the lady
Oh my
in the
gosh,
nursing
yeah.
home who's the genius who built
Exactly.
it.
She
Who
is
can-
a recipient of a
Yeah.
gift.
It's like, so this character, she's got backstory too. She's sharp with her words to hide her insecurities, but she has a soft heart. Well, the MOH wants you to know that they're sharp
yeah.
with their words to hide their insecurities, but they really have a soft heart.
Yeah, Minister Gan Kim Yong is
Are we going to talk about her abilities?
She can do she has hypersonic speed of up to Mach 5. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry.
Mach 5 is like 5 times the speed of sound.
5 times the speed of your regular Boeing or Airbus passenger plane, which typically flies at Mach 0.8. I'm getting all of this off of hype
Something like
and
that,
stuff,
yeah.
which I think is the original profiles. Like later on, there was like a version that the government revised with, and we'll get to why they revised
That was
it
revised.
later.
Okay,
We'll get
but
to
what,
that.
what
We'll
does
get
this
to that,
ability for? Like, what is it for? Why fly so quickly?
Gotta go fast.
I don't know why she
Hmm.
needs because okay, like I don't know why she's here because there's already a guy who kind of repels people. So what does she do?
Push people away,
I'm
man.
not sure.
We'll get to
She
push
can,
people away, man, later.
Control any digital equipment with a chip in it.
Look,
Yeah,
robots,
robots
are,
are
cool,
cool.
right?
She can
Yeah,
achieve
that's
lossless
basically
data
it.
compression.
What?
she's 265 and
She
code.
can achieve lossless data compression.
265
I don't know what
and
that
code
means.
girl. Right, so it's like when you make an MP3 file smaller, you lose quality, right? So her superpower is that when you make the file smaller, you don't lose quality. That's her
Yeah.
superpower, which is great. I don't know why she's here. No, I'm just imagining like at the team meeting when they're all gathered around their round table, and they're like, "That's great, Minnie, thanks."
So,
and I was just
so while
condescending
the
to
rest
this
of
12-year-old
the
girl.
Vanguard are fighting the virus, she's just at the side downloading MP3s.
Yeah, I think she's
She's
also-
making them smaller and they don't sound
Yeah,
any worse.
but that's like a really good power, I would
No,
say.
she does it 5
And-
times the speed of sound, so that's...
And it saves space on your Google Drive.
Or she could have helped with
Or was it
the
Starhub?
Starhub.
Which one?
I
It
think
was the-
like
it was
they
Starhub.
started with
Oh no, yeah, it was Starhub.
there was Starhub, very topical. There was an outage, right? And there
Yeah,
I
was
think that's
I
what her
was affected.
power
and
was.
for about 20 minutes, like everyone.
Like her power is something to do with tech, because it's a robot. That's the level of design thinking we're going into here.
And they started with the name
Mm-hmm.
circuit breaker, and then they worked backwards. They're like, circuit breaker sounds like it has something to do with electricity. It
So
sounds
she's
like it has
actually
something
our
to do
5G
with
tower,
tech.
is that what it is?
Yeah, I think
Therefore,
so.
oh yeah, we've got to be careful that protesters don't set fire to her. Yeah, so let's get into that, right? So the design of the robot, like, does the robot have a separate name? Is the girl circuit and the robot breaker?
No, the girl is Minnie.
Mini.
Yeah.
So circuit breaker is the robot's
Circuit breaker's the robot she
name. Okay,
controls.
so yeah, so circuit breaker, like, he looks kind of like G1 Optimus Prime, and then of course the concept of she is 12, right? So she's like wearing a school uniform and everything. Like that's Penny Parker.
And there's an
right, who originated in the comics and then was popularized.
I think I sent it to the group chat. Someone actually dug up that there is fan art out there of Penny Parker, which this looks completely traced over, right down to the way that her hair is flowing, like, and like her facial expression.
It's traced, right? Like the thing about all of the art is, like, my first instinct was the art looks fine, but then my second instinct was these are not the same style exactly. And to me, like I told you earlier on, they don't look like comic book art. They look like textbook art. They look like something you'd find in your social studies textbook, and you open it up and there's a page like this, and it kind of feels like, if you compare this to the original artwork that was like the grassroots kind of thing that was put together by the three artists, Masha Freen, Alvin Ching, and Jason Leong, I think. So when the three of them did it, it was so dynamic, and like, of course, there were a lot of very derivative designs in those as well. Like there was there's a lady with a lasso who was like, that's Wonder Woman, and then the villain, the coronavirus, looks like Groot. Yeah, but it was like alive. The art was alive. Yeah, and this art is not alive. This art is like very static and very still. And I'm saying this as someone who can't draw, but then you can.
Because when you
take it away.
When you draw something at, I guess, any level, it's easy to see what is traced or copied from what you kind of tried to draw on your own, because when you draw on your own, you have to think of form. So when you draw, like, for example, a leg muscle, you can see that thought process that goes into, okay, this leg muscle exists behind the bone, so I will
this connects to
so
this,
I
this
will
connects to that. Yeah.
make a conscious decision to use the pen in a certain way to describe that. But when you trace stuff, you just kind of, the lines are there just for you to imitate. So there's no thought that goes into this needs to be a certain weight over this one. So sometimes even like original art can look traced. Unfortunately, I do think that I feel like if we were to overlay this on top of the fan art that this Korean artist did, it looks pretty quite blatant. Like even the shoe design, also the hair, the expression is really close. The robot behind is different, quite different, but it just looks too close. The artist that is in question, they are at Steel Scarlet on Twitter. So if you want to go and check that out yourselves, you should go check that out. That was from the 25th of December 2018. So I don't think that it would be
shortly after Into the Spider-Verse came out.
That was way back when all that.
So this is like this exists, and if you took a bit of time to look, you would find the source of it. Yeah, and the thing is, like, it's just on every level this doesn't work. And when you poke at it with a stick, like, everything falls apart. And I guess that's kind of what we're doing here. And we're not doing this because it's very, very fun to do, even though there is a small element of that. But it's just like, what we're taking this, like, why did it not work, and how could it have worked? That's the way that I approach when I write like a review of a bad movie. That's what I do as well. It's like, maybe we had something here, but then this was lacking over there. And that's what we're kind of doing. Like, what are the levels to this? And the art being traced is just like, that's one of the levels to it, and there's only one level. So
that is just the first character that we're getting into.
Yeah, there are 5.
For your information, that is the first character.
Thanks, Circuit Breaker.
Thank
and
you.
Minimo.
You were not too bad, but you were traced over. Who's next? All right. Oh, this one's so embarrassing. But his name is Fake News Buster.
Fake News Buster.
He busts fake news. Yeah.
I would
Is
never
that,
guess.
I would
is
have
that
never
Pinocchio on his hammer?
Yes.
Yes, because Pinocchio
Yeah.
tells
You
lies.
see, it's really smart. There's cultural references and
It
and he
is,
has
yeah.
like a fucking justice symbol
Yeah.
on his.
Oh, the scales.
It means
like Lady
Pofma.
Justice. Pofma, yeah. What does Pofma stand for? Prevention of online. I lost it the second. It's prevention of online falsehoods, misinformation
Yes.
act.
Woo!
Yay! Woohoo! Do I get a prize?
You get to be friends with Fake News Buster.
Yeah, my best friend Fake News Buster. Sometimes he lets me
Oh,
touch
the
the
hammer is called Mallet of Truth.
The mallet of truth.
The Mallet of Truth. I love to touch the
It's
Mallet
very
of Truth.
melodramatic.
It is, yeah. As is the name Fake News Buster.
He-
Let us learn more
He
about our
wears
friend.
a suit with force-enhancing nodes to generate power when knocking sense into people.
Oh no.
Otherwise, he is
That's not good.
Felix.
He's just going around giving people concussions.
He is Felix, a corporate cog data cruncher in his late 20s.
Yeah, that was the thing, right? Someone like did some forensics and found out that corporate cog is the way the artist Mars refers to himself in his bio.
That's fascinating.
Like there's the same usage. Yes. He says I'm a corporate cog by day and then by night I do this art stuff. So the way I'm reading this is that this is Falling Down, right? This is the movie with Michael Douglas that a lot of people compare Joker to. He is a guy who's just sick of everything and then he's like driven mad and he goes around knocking people on the head. So is this what it is? Is this a guy who is like, he has all the soul drained out of him by his corporate job, that his only recourse is to go and under the pretense of busting fake news, if you will, carrying out physical
I
violence
think his
against people?
backstory is a little more virtuous and...
His backstory is my favorite thing. I love
Okay, take it away.
Drake, do you want to read his backstory?
Yes,
I have
Drake,
it, I
do you
have
have
it,
it in
okay.
front of you? Yes, Drake.
I'm gonna try to
us-
read it
take
without
us
laughing.
away.
Felix was a flat earth believer until he failed his geography in secondary school and could not follow his girlfriend to the same JC.
The flat earth believer has a girlfriend. I cried.
He studied 2 years of geography and still thought the earth was flat until he failed it. Okay, anyway.
Deserved it. He deserved to fail. Come on.
Okay,
No need to pretend.
devastated, he denounced flat earth and all things fake. And all things fake.
Thanks, fake.
With
all
his
things fake.
single-minded focus to study and memorize all the world's information, he became a walking supercomputer.
What?
All the world's information. This is like that line in Cats, right? It says McCavity has broken every human law.
McCavity, McCavity.
McCavity, there's no one like McCavity. Yeah, so the thing about this is like, this is a shitpost,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly, this is... Okay, wait, there's the last sentence.
There's the more. The more.
He became a walking supercomputer and a literal fake news buster to eliminate what he deems to have cost him his ultimate love. So...
A literal fake news buster. To eliminate what he deems
So, like,
to
flat
have cost him his ultimate love.
Flat Earth made him break up with his girlfriend. So now he's angry at Flat Earth.
I mean, like,
love it, I love
the
it.
thing is, they never specified whether they broke up or not. They just couldn't go to the same JC.
But it said it cost him
his ultimate love.
So his girlfriend only found out he was a flat earther after he failed his geography exam.
Oh, they would fail the newlywed game. He's just like writing is like, what does your partner believe? And then they're writing it on the board, and they lift the board up and like, oh, didn't know that.
Oh god. This is something.
His abilities include being a walking Wikipedia and Google database combined.
But Wikipedia, other people can edit Wikipedia. So he's not a walking Wikipedia if other people can't edit his brain.
We'll go in and make flat earth the truth.
Flat earther thing.
The truth.
Donut Earth.
Yeah. Donut Earth. The Earth is a Taurus. Oh, we can't deal with it. Yeah.
He is able to decipher big data and call out facts or known truths.
And this is another thing, like who decides what the truth is, right? Which does go back to Poffma. That is a can of worms, which is staying close. I'm putting down my worm can opener.
We are not going to go into that today because
we're not litigating that, yeah. But the thing about it is like, are there any other abilities this man
he has no other abilities. He just has a huge hammer.
Does he have a new girlfriend?
And, I suppose he...
I mean, that's all you need in life is a huge hammer.
Yeah, am I right, lads? And he just...
Yeah, his abilities doesn't talk about the hammer at all.
That's why... No, the hammer is an outlet for violence.
It's just a prop, basically. He just holds it. Because, like, while you...
But it says that he hits people on the head with it, knocks sense into people, is what it says, right? So he does use it as an offensive weapon, but he has no training or special skills in the hammer. This is a dangerous man. What is this guy doing wandering
Can
the
you
streets?
imagine, like, this person in real life? Like, you know, you go to work, you're another corporate called data cruncher, and this is your co-worker.
Yeah.
And ever you, like, share, like, maybe a little bit of a sketchy BuzzFeed article, he just comes up behind you and he just whacks you in the head.
He would
it's
be
like if you say
jail.
Captain America the First Avenger came out in 2010 and he says, no, it came out in 2011, and he beats the living crap out of you.
It's like, he just bonks you and it's so painful and you...
Yeah, he'd be the Riddler and all the calculator.
I just imagine this kind of person to be the, actually... that kind of
I'm
person.
actually, yeah.
Like...
Oh, give that person a hammer. Give the actually guy a hammer, and only good things can happen.
Like this entire character feels like something that you created within half an hour because you're on a deadline.
Yeah, I think that was what happened. Probably.
And the thing about it is, like, to me, okay, this is where it gets shitposty, right? Because it goes into flat earth and all of that, and, like, he failed his geography twice. So, to me, the thing is, usually when you see these kinds of government initiatives, this public service campaign stuff, it's earnest to a fault, right? Like, there's such a gauche sincerity about things like Singer, the courtesy line, and things like that. But there isn't that kind of sincerity here. There's an underlying level of I need to make this something that I can amuse myself with, which I appreciate on a certain level. I admire. Like, I will write something and I'll hide jokes in it that maybe I will find.
It feels like someone was making fun of Reddit posters.
Yeah, perhaps.
It's like I'm here to make fun of people who post on Reddit. So this is the fake news
I will
buster.
take your karma and I will shove it up your ass. I will cram all that karma into your butt. I mean, if that's your thing, I'm not judging. But
his weaknesses, though.
You know.
Oh, could you go over his weaknesses?
What are his weaknesses?
No, can you do it? I cannot.
Drake taps out. See ya, Drake. Bye.
His weakness: maps or anything resembling a map, including suspicious-looking birthmarks. What?
Yeah, this is a shitpost,
Will
right? Yeah,
render
so
him
in
into
another
a
context,
temporary state of catatonia.
So you just showed this
Or your
idiot a map.
birthmark.
He just has to
And
go
he's
to the
paralyzed.
MRT
Yeah.
station.
And the thing is, any squiggly line can look like a map.
Bro,
It's great, yeah.
oh my goodness. This man needs help. Like, he's hung up over a girl from
Yeah.
secondary school. He's in his late 20s.
He carries around a hammer that he hits
With
people
Pinocchio
on
on
the head
it. That's just
with. Yeah, this man needs help.
like a Disney villain. It's like
There's, the great thing about this lineup, and I think like it should be this way for every superhero team, is you can make a case for each character being the best.
And maybe no, but if you kind of look at it carefully, the Pinocchio drawing on the hammer kind of looks like a map, so he might be saying no maps instead.
I love this galaxy brain stuff. It's really good. Yeah, we're doing a deep dive. We weren't
like,
kidding.
I
when
feel
we said we
bad
were
for
going
this
to
guy.
really dig into
He
this.
needs
I do
like
feel bad
out
for
of
him,
all of
yeah.
these people, I think he needs like actual help. Like unfortunately, they
Yes.
determine like
Yeah.
psychiatrists and like psychological help to be non-essential. So that's why Felix is going
Oh,
around with his
yeah.
mallet of truth whacking people.
we've
why.
come a full circle, friends.
We have
Yeah.
indeed.
He
Okay, can we say
Bye,
goodbye to
Felix.
Felix now?
He's such. This
Bye,
is such a villain backstory.
Yeah.
It is. Oh, Drake, it is.
Oh my
It
goodness.
is. This is syndrome,
The
right?
dumbest shit.
I'll make you understand. You failed me in geography twice. I'll make you understand.
Okay, let's move on.
The next three characters
Yeah.
are, I guess, to me, a lot more controversial. Like, when I was looking through the
Yeah.
list and then I went down, it was like, it was getting worse and worse. And by the end, I was just screaming.
Yeah, can you imagine if there's a sixth
Yeah, what would
character?
that be? Okay,
If they
when we get
introduce,
to
like,
the
in
end of
season
this,
2, who the sixth Vanguard is, yeah.
we
yeah,
can
we'll
like
speculate.
we should try and make up like a sixth character when we get to the end of this.
That's a good game, yeah.
Does it have to
Okay.
be good or
Now.
does it have to be the same standard?
Yeah, it has to be like brilliant. It has to be like in the
I love
same
the shadiness
same
in that
genre, you
statement.
know. In
Style, yeah,
Okay.
it has to fit. Has to fit in the greater
Okay.
milieu.
so the next guy, Jet, would you like to go over this man?
Oh, okay. Mama Man. Let's talk about Mama Man for a little bit. So this is, to a lot of people, the most controversial character in the lineup, and we'll get into it a bit later. Okay, Mawa stands for Must Always Walk Alone. He enforces safe distancing measures as he repels people and objects far apart. To his friends, he is Manzurata Man, or Man for short. A sports super agent in his late 30s, a sports super agent in Singapore. His backstory: Man is a fanatical Manchester United fan who grew up in the 80s when Liverpool kept winning titles, and he was constantly taunted by his two Liverpool fan brothers. This made him despise everything Liverpool, including their motto, "You'll never walk alone." YNWA. His hatred for Liverpool so far exceeds his love for Man United that it manifested as a telekinesis power in Mawa Man to push objects and people through his eyes. Looks like someone's got serious unresolved Liverpool issues. This is a line that's in the thing. I didn't just make up the last
That
line
one
up.
was on hype.
His
but,
abilities include. Oh,
I
is
think
that
yeah,
like an
they
addendum
added
from
that
Hype and stuff?
on. In the original one, they just
my
left
bad,
it
sorry.
unexplained.
Fake news buster is gonna hit you
Yep.
over the head now. Alright, his abilities include repelling power to push objects and people back, aided by a digital distance meter through his eyes. Using a special helmet he invented to control the magnitude of force and calculate other
Tech stuff is real. That's real.
Other tech
Can I
stuff.
just say the motivations
Drake.
of these characters are absolutely terrible.
Yeah, like apparently someone said the backstories were never meant to be published.
I
And
believe that.
Yeah.
I can believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that this was just like someone was having a laugh. It's like later we'll expand on this and we'll shape it into something. And then without them knowing, gov.sg appended these bios, and it's like no. Okay, his weakness: cannot stop Man United fans from gathering, as he will be compelled to join
You
them.
are a terrible superhero, sir. I don't even think that's a power. Like, I just think people just don't like this guy. That's why they move away from him.
And if you look at his design, right, so he has the visor in Cyclops. He has a red trident belt buckle. That's the Man United symbol. But most, obviously, he has the crest, the Liverpool dragon on his chest with a diagonal line across it, crossed
He's
out.
anti-Targaryen.
So, yeah, that's right.
I am sorry, football boys.
Yeah, okay, so the football boys are arguably what led to the whole thing falling
Yeah.
apart. Because this really, really offended Liverpool supporters. And there's so many layers to this. So I am not at all a football boy. So, but I can...
I mean, I'm not a sports person. Clearly. Are you a
you a
No,
football
I'm
boy?
barely a boy.
we stand
So
barely
yeah,
a boy.
I don't know
yeah.
anything about
okay.
sports ball.
But the thing is, the whole whenever anyone talks about fandoms, they always go back to, oh, this is like sports. Like when you're in politics, it's like, oh, my team has to win no matter what. That's like sports, no matter how bad your team is. And that's the whole thing. The whole thing is sports fans are notoriously fanatical. So if you have this that is really poking the bear, you cannot expect there to not be people who are upset about this. And then the other layer to this is You'll Never Walk Alone is now like an anthem of solidarity across the United Kingdom and Europe. So there are compilations of people all like this is a theme of to fight COVID-19. So they are joining together. It's just like in Singapore when we have Dick Lee leading 900
Yeah.
people singing Home. In Europe, they are singing You Never Walk Alone. So this is this is like a double slap in the face.
Yeah, it's kind of rude.
And it is, and to me, as a lover of musical theatre, it is a triple slap in the face, because You'll Never Walk Alone is a beautiful Rodgers and Hammerstein song from the musical Carousel, which also gave us If I Loved Her, right? Or If I Loved You, yeah. So that's the thing, like, the origin of it was as a show tune. And then it kind of like went under the radar until it was covered by the Liverpool in-house band in 1963, and then it became the theme song for Liverpool. So You Never Walk Alone originates in the theatre.
Which Jed will defend.
The theatre. So yes, so even as a non-football boy, I too am offended because basically it's kind of a funny joke, right? Oh, you'll never walk alone, must always walk alone. And then like they took that and expanded that into this, where his superpower originates from hatred.
That's something weird.
He hates so much. His hatred is so strong. It
Again, a
manifests
villain
as
story.
Power.
Yeah.
And it is, right? This is the crime syndicate, right? This is the Sinister Six, right? So, like, the whole thing is, it says there explicitly he hates he hates Liverpool more than he loves Man United, right? That's like me saying, I'm a DC fan and I hate Marvel more than I love DC.
And somehow you get a power
which, like,
from
you see
that.
a lot of people are in. Yes, like I hate Marvel so much. I am anti-Iron Man.
Anti-Iron Man.
Okay, man.
Yeah.
Manzuraka Man.
So his friends call him Man.
Come on,
It says,
man.
Manzuraka Man for short.
Come on,
Man.
man.
Yeah, come on, man. Yeah, man up, man. Man up.
Oh,
Reminds me
man.
of, you know, Moon. That meme.
Yeah, I
with
love
the
Moon. Sweet baby Moon.
Okay,
Yeah, like the
the
derpiest
past 5
werewolf
minutes,
name.
I've been trying to picture this power, like, in my head, like how it works in the real world.
The repelling
Like, just
power.
imagine, like, you're in a supermarket, you're trying to buy stuff, you're in a line to pay, and all of a sudden you feel yourself being moved to the left.
Right, yeah.
You turn around and there's this guy in this Cyclops outfit just staring at
Wearing
you.
an anti-Targaryen sign on his chest.
And then you're just like, I just want to pay and leave.
Exactly, yeah. And then you just like make life more difficult for everyone. When if you hadn't been there, the person could have moved through the line and gotten out of there
He's
faster.
like those guys on COVIDiot Singapore who chase around people who are not wearing masks and swear at them.
Oh, the
is that
vigilantes.
a thing?
Yeah. That's what he
Oh
sounds
my
like.
god,
right?
I've never heard of Why?
I'll link you later. I'll let you see the videos later.
I
Yeah.
look
But yeah,
forward
the-
to dying.
There's so many layers. There's
It's
so
like, you know,
many
this
layers.
vigilante behavior that I keep seeing crop up online these days, where they're like, "You're not wearing mask? You're not wearing mask? Excuse me, I've been following you for the past 40 minutes."
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, where it's basically like I have been decreed a vigilante, and it is my responsibility to enforce the
Yeah.
law. And like it is just like it's because you have a stick up your ass. Yeah, I mean not to hammer this home again, but you know it's like finally there's something that gives me power. It gives me a feeling of power. I can do this to other people, and that is how I feel like I have a small little bit of authority in this world that I have no control of.
It's like they would rat their
That's
neighbors
Mama Man.
out for going to buy
Yeah.
curry, this kind of stuff.
Because it gives them satisfaction. So yeah, that's Mama Man, and to me this is like a prime example of how inserting like an in joke, something that personally appeals to you and something that you find amusing, can backfire
Yeah.
spectacularly. Like this guy wrote this because he is he is a Man United fan and he doesn't like Liverpool. So this is something that just amuses me personally. But then you sort of realize that how far out of proportion this can be taken, and it is problematic in itself that this is deemed the most problematic
Because
of the five.
what we're
We'll
gonna
get
get
to.
into
Yeah.
is oh boy.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a good segue. We leave behind Mama Man, and next we have.
Actually, do you
want to
do which one do you want to do first? Do you want to do Keladi or Doctor Disinfector? Because I feel like
Dr.
Doctor Disinfector we have a lot to talk about.
So she can be like, okay, we're gonna swap the order. All right, let's do Care Lady first.
I want to. Oh my goodness! But like, okay, personally, out of all of these, she's the funniest. Keladi is the funniest character Yeah,
Cat
for
Lady is
me
the
lah,
funniest,
but
right? Okay.
Is she supposed to be Jean Grey?
yeah.
I think it's but it's also like it's also
okay.
Electra.
Okay, anyway.
The sash, the raps, yeah.
So, Care Lady. And I was thinking,
Pronounced
Care Lady. It was like Cara Ledavine.
Cara Delevingne.
Cara Lady.
Yeah.
I
Pronounced
first read it
Care
as
Lady.
Care Lady.
Yeah, that's correct.
Care Lady.
You fell into their trap. She. So I'm gonna go over her abilities now.
What's her backstory?
Okay. She. Let's talk about what she can do first. So she uses
Fine.
empathy to absorb all negativity or to send torrents of powerful emotions to a target. Not ordinary even in person. She is Diana Empathy.
Yeah, okay.
A female
Pronounce
trillionaire philanthropist of unknown age.
Very good. Never ask a lady her
Trillionaire.
age. Trillionaire.
And the
Trillionaire
backstory.
So automatically she's not a good person.
Trillionaire.
If you're a trillionaire, you have to lack a certain amount
Exactly.
of
Like trillionaire and empathy in the same sentence. No.
Oh,
No.
this is
Yeah.
embarrassing. It's just like, why is this cursed? So her backstory is that she made her trillions from prudent investments, and then
This is very stonks.
stonks go up, I become rich,
Stonks. I become trillionaire.
and then decided to go for
I want to Photoshop the stonks face over her head.
no. Okay. She did. Okay, so Diana, after making her trillions from prudent investments, she decided to go for a year-long meditation experience in the remote mountains of Kathmandu. She got trapped during an avalanche, and during the 2-month ordeal, which she survived, she attained unusual enlightenment to become Care Lady, having gained the ability to feel exactly what others around her feel. Her abilities include ability to make others feel better and also to understand how others feel through telepathy. Ability to temporarily absorb negative energy and thoughts. Levitation.
One of these things is not like the other.
Oh my god. I feel like I'm in a dream. This is very surreal to me.
Hi, Drake. I am deaf.
Oh, thank God for death. Come for me, please. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm sure Cat Lady knows how I feel.
Yeah, I'm sure she does. When she absorbs negative energy, she needs to meditate to purge it from her vessel. Otherwise, it may harm or kill her.
Vessel.
A vessel. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack, right? Alright, so basically this is Doctor
Yeah,
Strange.
this is Doctor Strange and
Of
the,
emotions.
Iron Man.
Yeah, it's Doctor Strange's Iron Man, right? She has like she has an epiphany that makes her feel like, oh, okay, my entire life of the pursuit of wealth, it has no meaning. I must now strive for something higher. And the element of like year-long meditation experience in the remote mountains of Kathmandu, this is the kind of bullshit that rich people do, right? Like if you watch the like John Oliver did this great segment on Mount Everest, and how like Mount Everest is like permanently clogged up with people who are basically rich people who buy the services of Sherpas to lead them up Mount Everest and say, I have climbed Mount Everest. And it's just become an entirely corporate enterprise that kills a lot of Sherpas and damages the environment of Mount Everest. So to me, this is the kind of thing that Care Lady would do, that Diana would do. And then that goes wrong and results in her gaining superpowers.
Yeah, I mean, like the 2 months stuck in the mountains thing. Isn't this just like that thing that happened in Thailand, the cave one?
And I think there's also an element of like the plane crash in the Andes, right? The life story where they ate the other people.
And it's just really it's just very I feel like either this seems like a shitpost. This sounds like something someone made up on the fly, or they didn't even come up with anything yet.
It sounds like an
first of all-
SNL skit.
Yeah.
So the discourse surrounding the virus Vanguard is very similar to the discourse surrounding My Immortal. The infamous Harry Potter fanfic was like, is this a troll fic? Is this not a troll fic? Everyone is like looking for specific clues whether it's a troll fic or not. And this is not what you expect of a
Maybe the government is trying to
spending.
troll us.
So to me, that is another level that makes this interesting, right? It's like how much of this comes from the artist, how much of this is mandated.
Can you imagine
by
the government?
Like
okay, I can imagine.
Yeah.
But
That's very.
We got there real fast.
I mean, but also it's just like the lack of insight that comes with making a.
Yeah.
I mean, like also, I don't think the idea that okay, trillionaires and billionaires are somehow kind of immoral. You don't make $1 billion. You don't make $1 trillion.
Unless you're taking advantage of somebody. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't crack. You don't get an omelet without cracking a few eggs, right? And I mean, like the thing is that we are conditioned to look at billionaires as heroes or saviors, and that is true.
She's like
fiction,
a Bill Gates,
right?
But nowadays, more and more people are
Batman, Iron
realizing,
Man, Black Panther are all billionaires.
like more and more people are realizing today that you can't be a good person and be a billionaire, trillionaire. So this kind of is a bit blind.
outdated. Yeah, like outdated. There's no sense of popularity.
And the thing is, like,
yeah.
Like, I want to be rich, I want to have money, and I think all of you do as well. But the thing is, after a certain point, it is useless. After a certain point, you're taking from other people, and you don't need it anymore. Yeah. And then the thing about billionaires is that there's no upper limit. There's no point where they feel that it's wrong. Like, they will justify all of the material wealth that they have, and then they'll have like a private ostrich petting zoo. And you're like, what good does this serve? What practical purpose is your ostrich petting zoo?
And it's just like her method of going out to care for like the community is to go up to individuals and be like, I know how you feel, bitch. You have $1 trillion.
I want now a comic that is basically like a protester fighting Care Lady. There's just like, bitch, you have $1 trillion. Yeah, it's very much like that panel, you know, in the 1970s, there was a panel of Green Lantern, where there's an elderly black man who says to Green Lantern, says to Hal Jordan, you care about the purple skins and the green skins. What about the black skins? You don't care about the black skins. Yeah. And I would love to see like a confrontation like that between someone and Care Lady. And the other thing to me is like, the character's superpower is understanding emotions. Woman, of course.
So
right?
essentially,
that as well. And then, but they're like, but we balance that out by making her a trillionaire, so we're real progressive. Woman can money.
Women can oppress the
working
minority
class.
class and the working class too. You know?
So essentially, none of these characters you care about.
Yeah. So
these are all bastards. But
most
I mean,
of
like,
them, a lot of them are kind of. I still feel bad for Felix.
Minnie Mo is not her fault. Yeah, it's not Minnie Mo's fault.
Yeah. It's just...
She's an innocent who was dragged into all this.
And it's like, investments. And this is probably just me, like, reading too much into it and all that. But, I mean, we're doing this against the background of, like, just literal thousands of migrant workers falling ill from their illness.
And people losing their jobs.
Yeah, because...
This is a very not stonks time.
Yeah, it's like because of just, I don't know, big money going into here and there and that taking precedence over everything else. What investments was she making?
Like everything is falling apart because everything like this sort of... When the outbreak happens, you sort of see what fails, and I think this was something that we're talking about in our test episode. Like, it's a stress test, and a lot of things cannot handle the stress test. And I think today or yesterday was the first day that oil went negative a barrel, negative amount of dollars a barrel. And the thing is, like, at a time like this, when you're emphasizing material wealth, and where this is like the idea is that in a time when a lot of people are suffering, here is someone who will lord it over you and say, "I understand your suffering," and then walk away.
And
she wipes your tears with $100 bills.
That makes me really angry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and like the sash that she has. Yeah, so yeah, Care Lady is a very upsetting character. Like there's a case to be made for each of them being the most upsetting.
And it's just like, does the trillionaire part, that philanthropist part, is that supposed to be part of the superpower as well? Like,
right, and the thing is, a lot of the fantasy that we consume, it involves being rich. Like a lot of the characters that I love are characters who are rich because it's fun to write. Like Lara Croft jumps in a private jet, and that's fun, right? And it's like, where does she have the resources to go to this place and fund this expedition by herself? She's rich, and it explains away a great many things. So that's why you have that in fiction. But the idea that this unfolds against the background of mass suffering, and that this is in the context of mass suffering, it just comes off as so callous. And I'm not saying this as like, I am the most righteous man in the world. I am going to go out now and give everything I own to the poor. And I'm not saying it from that point of view. But it's just like, take a step back and gain a bit of perspective is all that we are. So perspective is free,
The ability to make others feel better and understand how others feels, to kind of put that up as a superpower, like, it's like...
There's nothing material. She doesn't improve anything. Because, like, I mean, there's a case to be made for, I understand.
Is it basically like, right, but when rich people have empathy and are philanthropists, we are supposed to see them as heroes? Fuck that.
I think so. I think this is imagine all the people, right? Yeah, and I think like the idea is, it seems very clear that she has the means to create physical change, but she does not.
Yeah.
There's even a TED Talk out there which talks about how is it a TED Talk? I'm not sure. Okay, I don't think it's a... Yeah, but okay. So there's an article out there. It's by Paul Bloom, and it's talking about how empathy might be overrated. Like, it kind of you feel someone's pain, you feel what it's like, so you don't add to this person's suffering. And then it spotlights and directs attention to aid where it's needed. And the thing is, like, it's hard to, like, when you can feel what someone else feels, it's only, you're only feeling it from a very kind of contained perspective. From the perspective of your life, you feel their feelings. So you don't exactly understand.
Yeah, it's incredibly subjective.
Like, you don't really understand what's going on, because after you feel what they feel, you're gonna take it back and put it through the lens of your own perspective.
Okay.
And for example, if you're a billionaire and you're trying to improve schools, so you funnel a lot of funding into like private schools with like, more like specialized programs over public education. And then like you also funnel a lot of funding into like standardized tests and like kind of like measuring teachers instead of like and their aggregates instead of just the students. Then I know this is a thing that happens elsewhere, but like what if those measures don't work out? Because you are not like an education professional. You're a billionaire who thinks that you have a really great idea in something that you don't really have that much of an idea about, because you weren't trained in it. You're good at making money, but are you good at fixing systems?
Right, yeah.
Probably not.
So what this is Elon Musk building the child submarine.
Yeah, that's what I feel, the kind of feeling.
And then he lashed out at the rescue workers because they didn't want to use
the example you gave. Isn't that what Bill Gates is doing?
Yes, exactly. That's what I mean, I wanted to say that, but I didn't want to go there. But yeah.
I go for you.
Yeah, thanks, Drake. Drake putting himself out on the line here. Yeah, so I mean, but the thing about this is like, it is, reductive to say rich people are bad, but the thing is that rich people tend to think they know better than other people, and that their money gives them an authority to decide, and that if everyone listened to what they said, the world would be not such a better place. And I think like that is who Kelly is.
And that's not always the case. Like, you have the monetary ability to move things in a certain direction according to however you want it, but you're not an expert, so it would be better for you to spend your money, like, I guess giving it to people who actually know how to do this sort of stuff, instead of stepping in and being like, I am so virtuous, I went to Kathmandu and had a spiritual awakening. And just like,
I had a spiritual awakening. in the
That
2
very
months. And
white savior kind of moment.
it is, yeah. And her, like, what race is she supposed to be? Because this is CMIO, right? This is like, is she white?
I mean, the name
know.
Diana
Empathy?
it's kind of a Malay
Diana.
name, but then she has red hair, and her surname is
Right,
Empathy,
yeah.
which I don't know which
Empathy.
nationality
Yeah.
you are. Empathy. Ooh.
Yeah, Empathy. Okay. We have spent a lot of time on Care Lady, and why Care Lady makes
Yeah.
us mad.
We're an hour in. Is that right?
Okay,
Yeah. Ooh.
we are an hour in. We are an hour in. We told you there would be stuff to unpack. Okay, who's the last one?
Dr. Disinfector.
Okay. Do
Yeah,
you want me
you
to
go.
read this one? Okay. So first, to talk about the design, right? So Dr. Disinfector is wearing a red and white outfit, and it looks like what would you describe it as? Like the dress that she's wearing. This is a traditional outfit, right?
Kind of.
Is it patterned after, like, I don't want to be culturally insensitive or anything, but it looks like it's patterned after a style of dress that would be like from an Indian culture. So and then she has a mask, and she's holding like what looks like a thermometer, and then she has these like bandoliers. She has bullets, right? She has ammo pouches, and then she has these 2 tentacles that come out from a harness on her back. That is basically like Doc Ock if you chopped off 2 of Doc Ock's tentacles. They even have the 3 little arms at the end, the little claws at the end of each. So this is like straight
Yeah.
Doc Ock.
Oh, that's what it is. I thought it was really
okay.
familiar.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yes. Okay, Dr. Disinfector can detect the presence of any virus or bacteria, and she dons an exoskeleton suit with extended
Wait, can I just add
appendages
something?
to eradicate
Hang on. Are
and
you
disinfect.
are you
Yes.
reading this from the Hype and Stuff page?
Yes,
So do you?
yes.
Okay, this is the original thing that they posted. We can go over what they corrected
Yes.
it to.
Okay, this is the theatrical cut. Ordinarily, she is Darshita, a microbiologist at Singapore Clinical Research Institute in her mid-20s. Her backstory. Darshita graduated summa cum laude from MIT with double degrees in chemical science and microbiology at the age of 14. A failed experiment during her doctorate studies caused her to shrink to the size of a microorganism. Her colleague then unwittingly flushed her down the toilet. She survived the ordeal and returned to normal size, but the trauma caused her to develop extreme obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD, towards cleanliness, and her senses became ultra-amplified, which made her the perfect Dr. Disinfector. Her abilities include the ability to detect virus and bacteria through sight, smell, and even sound from the vibration of their movement, wearing a multifunctional treatment gun with various capsules containing antidotes and boosters. Her weakness, cheesecake. Okay, so yeah, Dr. Disinfector is obviously the most problematic of all of the
Yeah.
characters.
I'm in so much pain right now.
Let's
Just
so
cringe.
okay, let's revisit. Her civilian name is Darshita, and this was very quickly corrected to Sonia. So someone realized that a character named Darshita who is flushed down the toilet is not
Yep.
a good idea, and there's like this sort of like racial microaggression stuff as well. It's so like the whole character is so uncomfortable, and especially and I felt this from Drake. Like, we are far apart, but I felt it from Drake. Like, when we got to her trauma caused her to develop OCD, and that's where her powers come from. It's like the first
mental
like,
illness
it's so common
superpowers.
that
I
you
love
see-
it. We love it,
Yeah,
folks.
mental illness is not a superpower. As much as like despite what all the TV shows want you to believe. But yeah, I mean, there was a time when I sort of like fantasized as like, oh, this thing, like, yeah, it makes me special and gives me this sort of extra sensory perception that other people don't have. No, it's just shitty.
Like, her backstory was corrected after a while. Like, they renamed her
What did they change
Sonia,
besides Sonia?
but
She's still
no,
flushed
she
down
was
the
flushed
toilet,
down the
right?
kitchen sink. So they knew it was bad.
Oh, they knew what they were doing. The layers.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's somehow worse.
So the trauma left her with adverse reactions to germs.
Okay.
Rather
Okay.
than OCD. So they made like the 5 things that are wrong
Yeah,
with this
they
psyche. That's
knew
wrong.
that. They knew something was wrong with this. So they changed
So
it.
so to me, like, insofar as the narrative is football boy sad, there's so much more
Yeah,
to it than that.
it's like, I mean, I feel like Mama Man is irritating, but out of these five characters, I feel like the most glaringly odd ones are probably Dr. Disinfector and Kennedy.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing that's, oh my god, the other thing is, all right, she graduated MIT at 14, right? So we do fetishize this sort of like these qualifications at a young age. Like it is very cool. Once you have a character who can speak 40 languages and who graduated MIT at 14, oh, that's when you know they're smart. And that to me is like, it is very
Classic
counterproductive.
Singapore.
We can't do that. And the more we do that, the more it hurts someone. Like in real life, if someone graduated college at the age of 14, their entire life is ruined. They peaked at 14. Everything's going downhill from there. I'm so sorry to tell you. It is like, imagine child star syndrome, but in academia. And the rest of your life, you're like, you're just in a complete self-destructive state, and everyone is laughing at you, saying you remember this person who graduated when they were 14. And that's, to me, it's so tragic. It's so sad. Like that is supposed to be an immediate signifier of how awesome and badass she is. No person needs help.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, there's this fetishization of really brilliant individuals and never really any humanizing qualities that I can spot out of these people.
And to me, it is like, it's more than that. It's a fetishization of credentials. It's a fetishization of summa cum laude from MIT, double degrees. I'm surprised it didn't tell us she has a PhD, because like, what are the double degrees?
I guess those I guess, like, obviously she has several PhDs. She's meant to be a genius,
right.
you know. She's a doctor, and that's her entire identity. And like, you know, I mean,
For fun, I invented time travel.
just, and like, I mean, like, when the artist himself, so with the assumption that these were never meant to be published, right? These backstories were never meant to be published. The artist himself, he writes this. Maybe, like, I don't want to accuse anyone of being, like, you know, racist. The R word. I said
This
R
is
word.
mass, is it?
I don't want to accuse anyone of going to purposefully make something that is supposed to be offensive or something, you know? And to have it read by a wide audience.
Yeah.
And when it's at that stage, I mean, I still side-eye it. It's not as horrible as having this on the government website.
It's not. But to me, like, this is another sign, like how, like, when they went back and they changed Dr. Disinfector's backstory and the details and everything changed.
Zero
To me, it's
proofreading.
like the rollout was so fast. Like they just sneaked this, like they just farted this out. Like there was no approval process. And it's so strange because I feel like my thinking of the Singapore government is extremely anal. So it's like we'll go through lots and lots and lots of many rounds of checking and making sure that this is okay, but it doesn't feel like that for this. And that's, to me, something that's also really, really interesting.
Like,
because like this is a different level of cringe than the MDA rap. Like it's a different classification of cringe. They're both cringe, they're both cringe inducing, but in different ways.
because the MDA rap, for example, or like the Care Pack song, all these classic masterpieces
Faux
the
pas,
government rolls out. Like, you see, like you said before, there's a certain earnestness to them that, you know, when you look at them, it's cringe, but it's not problematic.
Right, yeah. I mean, there are aspects of this movie that are problematic, but when you watch The Room, there's an earnestness to it. You're like, oh, Tommy Wiseau really thought he was making the greatest movie on earth. He really thought he was making the next streetcar named Desire. But then it's like here, it is like there's incompetence, but there's also a bit of this like snarkiness that underlies it. And normally I respect a degree of snarkiness, but to me, that combination in this context is so distasteful. In a time of crisis, in a time when everyone is really hit really hard and people are actually dying.
And it just feels like, yeah, I mean, I respect, okay, look, we all respect our healthcare workers, but I don't know, and our doctors and everything, but her power is to destroy the germs, You know, it's not anything to actually do with healthcare.
But she also has like, we'll give it to Dr. Disinfector that she has an actual useful
Mm-hmm.
superpower. Like, she is not out here compressing MP3 files without a loss in audio quality. Like, she's actually doing something that
But like,
that has an impact
like,
on the virus.
ability to detect virus and bacteria through sight, smell, and even sound from the vibration of their movement. How overwhelming is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, her life sucks. This lady graduated college at 14 and then was flushed down the toilet
and now,
or the
she's
sink.
gonna see bacteria and viruses everywhere because they are always everywhere anyway.
Yeah.
And that's why she has OCD derived powers.
And it's
Like,
just...
these heroes
So
need help.
yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
we shut down the psychiatrists, remember?
And this is really interesting, right? Because we were talking about how they seem like supervillains. And I think that especially in comic books, there is a coding of mental illness equals villain. Like, Batman's rogues gallery go into an asylum. They literally go to a mental hospital. They don't go to prison. Because everybody has some kind of a mental illness. And mental illness is meant to signify villainy, just like in the old days, just like in James Bond books and movies. Physical deformity was used to signify villainy. So I like the idea that, you know, that this is a superhero that has that deals with mental health struggles, but it's just approach of no nuance at all. And there are like attempts. I think there was a story arc called Heroes in Crisis, which was about DC superheroes like getting therapy, and that was something which like it had like kind of a mixed reception, but to me that was like, at least that was an attempt to acknowledge that hey, this stuff is traumatic, and being a superhero is traumatic, and having a mental illness doesn't automatically make you a villain.
I mean, wasn't there like a whole series about the Scarlet Witch creating an entire universe in her mind to deal with losing her? Yeah.
Right.
I haven't watched that yet. I really like Scarlet Witch.
This is Scarlet Witch
Vision, right?
and WandaVision,
Yeah.
right?
It's not out
WandaVision,
yet.
Yeah. This is the one where it's kind of a
I mean, that's...
it's an MCU series. It's on Disney Plus, but I think like they stopped production because of COVID-19.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't think that's finished, but I think she did something similar in the
Yeah, it
comics
was
as
called
well.
The House of M, right?
And then
Yeah.
House of M, that's right, yeah. And this is supposed to be like a pastiche of old sitcoms. So there's some episodes that are patterned after 50s sitcoms, and they're patterned after
That's
80s
really
sitcoms.
cute.
Like, there's a bit of I Love Lucy in there. So there's this, the idea is that she created this idyll to escape to. And it is like that episode of The Twilight Zone, right, where there's this like fantasy 50s, everything is really happy and everyone is sweet and friendly, and then you find out that this is a reality created by this tyrannical boy, and this is like the paradise that he rules over, and everyone is kind of trapped in it. So that's, I think, what is going on with WandaVision.
Like superheroes dealing with the trauma from like a rushed childhood where they're expected to be adults before they're actual adults, and
Where they graduate college at 14.
something like that, and like just the trauma of the actual power itself. Umbrella Academy.
Yes, Umbrella Academy like goes into that, like really in depth. So the thing is, like, that's another thing that's part of why I want to talk about this. Like, it is not 100% bad ideas. Like, there are ideas here that if they cooked it for a little bit longer, if they had more people in the room, if they had, like, it sounds like one guy made this, right? One guy, and then Gov.sg, whoever was up there.
You can tell that whoever made this totally gave up when they made her weakness as cheesecake.
Cheesecake, right? And that's like a hack joke, right? It's like in Jumanji, if Kevin Hart touches cake, he explodes, right? So to me, it is like that's, I don't find it offensive. I just find it a bit hack. But I've done jokes like that before. It's kind of like it's a bit of a dad joke. It's like, oh, nothing can defeat her except cheesecake, and then you sort of have the cartoon sound effect, and she zooms in on the cheesecake, and she goes to eat the cheesecake, and then someone dies in the background. So that to me is like, it's her weakness being cheesecake is maybe the least problematic part of the whole thing.
Yeah, that's like
It's quite
I
charming.
feel like
Because
these were
it's
meant to
stupid.
be just visual mascots, and then this backstory part wasn't. I don't know why
I
they
think
decided.
so too.
Right, because like the first thing this reminded me of is I don't know the details of it, but there was a campaign, right, like a blood donation drive, where it was all artwork of superheroes, and they had created like O positive or something like that. Like they all had blood donation themed names and gimmicks. And I remember seeing artwork of that like in an MRT station once, and that's to me kind of what this felt like. But I think we're at the point where I've run out of words really, because why
Yeah, why was this?
why, Lisa, why
and the
it's
thing
tearing
is,
me apart, Lisa.
okay, like the thing that, okay, fine, you come up with a cringy ass campaign, you have some cringy characters, a little bit of plagiarism, a little bit of distasteful, subtle racism, not even that subtle, honestly.
Yeah.
And then after that, you take it down, you try and rework it.
Yeah, so now we are in the
aftermath. So what the government did, gov.sg, they took it down, they blanked it out, not even that properly.
4-4. Yeah.
They were like, this was something that we did together with Band of Doodlers, like an entire art organization.
They tagged Art Collective.
An art collective. Yeah. And okay, so Singaporeans mostly focused on Mawa Man. I think the general backlash is against Mawa Man, but there's so many other things to be read into it. Even though I think we did go into it pretty deep, I don't think people like seeing this for the first time, they will immediately like go into billionaires are bad and everything. But
but no one has the manifesto that we have come up with.
Oh, no.
I don't think anyone else out here really wants to be doing like deep dives into Bill Gates at the same time as this thing comes out.
Right, like the Orientalism of going to Kathmandu to find yourself.
Or just the tragedy of early peaking child geniuses and how this woman's life probably sucks. Like, we're probably not gonna go into that, but
and this man who never got over a breakup in secondary school.
Yeah, and
is now knocking people over the head with a hammer.
And like, I don't think that people really it was really like important to everybody that all these backstories make complete sense.
No, yeah, I mean like superhero teams, there's so many bad superhero teams. There's so many like silly superhero teams. Like, okay, someone out there's gonna get mad. There's literally an Avengers West Coast. It's like, you're all not good enough to be in the real Avengers, so you're in the Avengers West Coast.
Okay.
There's Justice League International.
You know what I want? I want to know the backstories of the characters behind the MRT. The characters.
Yeah, I mean, those are pretty
Back down Benny, Stand Up Stacey, yeah. They had a cameo in Westworld Season 2. Yeah. Like Aaron Paul walks into Stadium MRT station, the MRT at Stadium MRT station, and you see on the wall Stand Up Stacey.
Yeah, I want to know what happened, like why Stand Up Stacey became Stand Up Stacey, Just
yeah, what traumatic event in all of these people's lives.
Is Back Down Benny actually a millionaire? But does his bag contain $100 bills?
Funny. Yeah, I mean, the thing... Okay, like people made fun of this, right? When this came out. People made fun of this. But people got over it really fast. Because, like, there was a certain amount of innocuousness to it. Like, it's very much in line with the infantilization that you get from a lot of these campaigns.
And move in Martin.
We are babies, we need to be... Move in Martin, yeah. We are babies, we need to be pandered to as if we are babies. Fine, we're used to it. But this is not that, right? And to me, that's what's interesting about this. This is not exactly that. It is an offshoot of that. It's mutated from that.
Yeah, an unfortunate mutation.
Which is what the world is dealing with right now.
It's like, and after all of this, gov.sg, the people who commissioned these artists to come up with something probably in like 8 hours.
An artist singular,
just
right?
one artist.
So the problem is they publicly called out Band of Doodlers when really it was the founder of the Band of Doodlers, this man named Mars, right? Who did this by himself, and the other people in the collective that he founded have nothing to do with this. And they were collectively dragged under the bus, and then people like Singaporeans went to their Facebook page and left them negative reviews. review bomb the poor band of doodlers. Like if you've been to any convention or any like sort of mass event and you've seen this giant white wall and people are like drawing on it in marker, like that's the band of
you
doodlers.
see like I guess a lot of murals that are entirely like line art and all that. That's Band of Doodlers. I'm actually in one of the on my other account. I'm actually in their Facebook group, and I was supposed to go there and like kind of help them out to draw. And it's honestly really innocuous, and it's a really big group. So you know, to say that this was in collaboration with the Band of Doodlers, well, it's like thousands of people. Who...
Yeah, and it's also like nobody is in this full time. It's a volunteer orchestra, right?
And they do a lot of good work as a community. Like an art, I mean, like artist communities in Singapore are so rare to come by already. Like we have to throw one under the bus like that.
So there's an extra level of
insult
tragedy to this.
Yeah,
it's insult to injury, right? And the thing is, it's very telling that nobody came out and said who did this until it was time for someone to take the blame. When this was rolled out, it wasn't rolled out with created by Mars Shafrin.
It's who made we never really publicized that much. Who made Stand Up Stacey, Moving Martin, and apparently, and this is something that I hear from the people at ADM every year. When they're initiated into ADM, they get a talk from the woman who designed Water Wally.
Oh,
right, yeah. Water
so
Wally,
we don't even know who designed it, because like the government doesn't really publicize that, right?
Because Water Wally made nobody upset.
And everybody likes
Water
him.
Wally
He's
did not
cute,
walk around with like the Liverpool mascot crossed out on his chest. Water Wally was probably flushed down the toilet at some point.
And no one got offended that he got flushed down the toilet because he's water.
Because it's part of the water cycle. It's like that episode of Magic School Bus where Miss Frizzle turned her students into water droplets. That is a class action lawsuit waiting to happen.
It's just when things go to shit.
Somebody must take the blame, and somebody is not
the
gov.sg. And we're saying gov.sg, right? We're always saying it like it's a faceless entity. We're not saying like whether it was Samuel Tan at gov.sg who was in charge of this, whether that was his fault, right? There is no Samuel Tan.
I think it's just like the organizational structure of things. This is all. I feel like this is something that if you have freelanced for people, if you have worked as an artist anywhere and you get an unreasonable client, an unreasonable deadline, and just people who refuse to listen and want their ideas implemented and only want you to draw it, this is what happens. This is...
Yeah, it's like it's the visual effects artist of Cats.
This is a masterclass in mismanagement.
Yeah, Cats is not ILM's fault. And Cats is not MPC's fault. But then at the end of the day, like James Corden and Rebel Wilson can go up on the stage of the Oscars and say, oh, visual effects artists, Cats had bad visual effects. Like that was the problem with Cats.
That made me so angry. I am so angry. Like, I can go on about this. It was you guys who didn't want to stay for the shoot. It was everyone who had to protect their precious artists that we couldn't put any makeup on them. That's why we had to.
We did motion capture without motion capture.
Yeah, exactly.
So we hand tracked dancers.
Just
how insane is that?
Just
Yeah. So that's what's going on here.
Yeah, it's.
Someone forgot to put motion capture suits on Mawa Man.
It was just not good decision making. Zero insight.
Okay.
Whatsoever. Just.
And it's like the damage control did more damage, which is another classic like government thing. And like you were saying at the top of the show about YouTuber apologies, where it's just new can of worms. And I oop. Yeah. Okay. Did you want to do the 6th member? Who would we have joined the team?
6th member.
So to me, like the most compelling character that was created in the original lineup, the one that was Mars but also Elvin and Jason, was Delivery Man. That was a guy like in a Rocketeer jetpack suit with huge like delivery bags like attached to his back.
Yeah.
And it's like that guy's useful. So yeah, I feel like if anyone's missing, it's like a Delivery Man kind of character is missing.
Yeah, I feel I like contact tracer. That's cool.
Yeah, Contact Tracer is also a cool name.
Yeah. I mean, like it's like a late. It's kind of corny, but
It is. Yeah.
but my goodness, it works. And just
It does.
I
yeah.
do really I actually think the original one, it looks better, and
It looks so much more dynamic, right? Like they feel alive. Like it is still corny and it's still derivative to a certain extent, but at least you can tell there's passion behind it. Like those don't look
Yeah.
trace.
those feature working class people.
That's true. That's another thing. Yeah, it's like Felix is working class. He's a corporate
He's
cop.
a corporate cock. He's a data cruncher. Was he in finance? I don't know.
He's a good Singaporean boy.
Like Derek.
Like Derek. And one day he
Oh,
snapped.
no.
He's just like Derek is running around with a hammer.
Oh, this is the backstory, isn't it?
This is the backstory of Derek. You just cut back to psychologist Cheryl Tan, like in the police station, saying, "Oh, he believed in the flat."
I like the nurse, honestly.
Yeah, I mean the nurse is
lady?
just. I think.
Oh no, yeah, there was
Yeah.
she was just called the nurse, right? Yeah, and it's like Marvel has a character called Night Nurse.
I think I can't really think of like a sixth character. I don't know, maybe like the masked man, mask woman.
Master Woman. But okay,
No,
one
I
thing
have
that I will give
something
them credit for is
Stupid.
it's 5, right? There are 5 members in the team. 3 out of the 5 are women, which is very, very uncharacteristic of superhero
Yeah.
teams. Normally, there's like one Wonder Woman, and the rest of you are dudes. One Black Widow,
Yeah.
right? So I'll give it to them on that front. Well done, Virus Vanguard.
I was going
Truly
to
the
say
representation we crave.
mask selamat.
Oh my god.
Do you want something distasteful? I'll give you distasteful. Hire me now.
Mask Selamat. It's grim. It's real
Oh
dark.
no.
No, I mean, like, I guess for the 6th character, I would go meta. I would go clueless government man,
Oh gosh.
and I would have like, I would have a bad Nick Fury. Is basically
That is
what I
so
would have.
lame.
I would have like a meddling bureaucrat who is the 6th character. You know who my 6th character would be? It'd be Carter Burke from Aliens. He'd be that annoying guy, the Paul Reiser character from Aliens.
Oh no.
And then he would be like, maybe we can commission a team of superheroes. And that's the 6th character. The 6th character is the one who is like, who found these people off the
Oh
street
my gosh.
and tried to put them together as
Is that
a
the
team.
contact
And it
tracer?
spectacularly
Zoom Man.
backfires. Zoom Man. But there's a Flash villain called Zoom. That's his
I think so. Yeah.
the reverse Flash, yeah. So yeah, that's Drake. Who would you make as the 6th character in this?
Maybe like somebody who can, like a thermometer person,
Mercury
Yes.
Man.
Mercury Man.
just able to register temperatures and the contact information of the people.
Or their Siamese twins is Infra and Red.
Oh no, infra and red. Oh.
Yeah, it's conjoined.
We shouldn't give them ideas.
It's too late.
Infra and
You're
red.
past the point of no return.
You know,
Infra
like
and
those
Red.
bad Marvel designs that came out, the snowflake and
Oh no, yeah. Guess, safe
oh
space.
no, yeah, infra and red.
The,
Just trace snowflake
infra
and
and
safe
red.
space.
Oh my god.
yeah. Or there's like a travel ban dude. And he just like stands at the border of Malaysia and Singapore.
He just stands. His arms are crossed, and he just stands
Yeah.
at Changi Airport, and he wanders the halls of Jewel Changi alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, like, hire us. It's not so hard. I want the money. I take back everything I said about billionaires.
We see you.
Or
Class
Lee Hsien
betrayal.
Long's
And
cup.
it's so telling that Care Lady is that
Lee Hsien Long's
Lee
cup.
Hsien Loong's
Oh
cup
my
is the
gosh, the
6th
language
character.
cup.
Yeah,
It's
the
chip.
language cup.
It's
Able to speak in different languages.
It's okay. It's a Duolingo and Chip had a baby.
No,
Chip is underage,
Yeah.
Oh,
right?
God.
But he's been that age for 10 years.
Jet, no. Jet, we're gonna get cancelled. This is like episode 1.
Save me, Philip.
You better shut your mouth.
What, Mama?
Oh my god.
There may be something there that wasn't there before.
Oh my god.
Okay, yeah. I'd better not go down this dark path.
Or a human sanitizer spits out hand sanitizers.
Oh no, his stomach is like just filled with
the human centipede.
the human centipede. Just projectile vomit, but
kills 99.9%
Human
of
centipede in
germs.
front,
yeah.
and then infra and red in the middle and the back.
Instead of like an acidic stomach lining, he has an alkaline one. So it's like just
This is a David Cronenberg body horror. This is The
and, like,
Fly. This man should
he has
not
like a tragic
exist.
backstory where one day he was making out with his girlfriend, and then his girlfriend just died of like alcohol poisoning.
Dissolved from the inside out. She dissolved from the inside out. Yeah. So he's left with a puddle of what formerly was his girlfriend. In comics, we call this fridging. It comes from when Green Lantern one day comes home, Kyle Rayner finds his girlfriend in a fridge. So that's just how you motivate characters. Yeah, fridging. Something horrible happens to a woman character.
Oh my goodness, people actually started to, this is hot, fresh news. I'm on Facebook right now. And people are starting to call out this superhero squad for plagiarism. Fresh update. Ooh.
Link.
It's
Okay.
not just...
Okay, so do we have the source? Do we have, like, where the drawings came from?
We have... Okay, I'm gonna send it to the Discord. But, so what we have is... Okay, we already know the Penny Parker one, but they found a source, and I knew this was true. Like I think they might have traced over a Storm drawing, so it looks almost exactly the same.
For Care Lady?
Care Lady.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Why? Like, sooner or later people are going to find, like, there are blogs dedicated to swiping, to art theft, to tracing. Sooner or later someone's going to call you out on it. So it is just like on every level this didn't work, right?
Yeah, it's just everything, the concept, and now even the art, and even just the fact that this is official, and just the art itself now is traced. What? Really? It just doesn't work.
Yeah, it's
on any level.
Real no good hours.
Oh, they even put Mars LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Masters LinkedIn. Oh wow.
He went to Harvard. Okay. Is this why Disinfected graduated
Maybe.
MIT?
But yeah, like when you line them up side by
14.
side like that, it's really obvious. There's no way that you can, even if you reference the pose, there's no way that you can like, it can match up so closely also.
And that to me is the other thing is like, why did this need to be rushed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, if you look at the drawing, like a Care Lady's breasts are smaller than
my
Storm's
goodness.
breasts. That's the only like discernible physical difference.
Even the hand, how it's posed, the angles at which everything goes in and out.
No, the thing is the fingers. The fingers overlap perfectly.
Yeah.
So
for,
thank you for doing the work for us.
For context, this article is found on geekculture.co. Yeah, so if anyone listening wants to go look that up.
Because the very visual medium of podcasts.
You can see it for yourselves, just what happened here. And yeah, I think Reddit's going wild about it.
Reddit is going wild, but yeah, I'm just hoping that nobody has done this deep a dive and nobody has like torn their hair out over trillionaires in the middle of it.
Yeah, I hope.
Because that's what we're here for. If nothing else, we feel that space.
I wonder what's gonna be the reworked version.
Yeah, I'm very scared also. When the time comes, we can make another episode.
Yeah, the virus Vanguard Mark II.
So, so what are your takeaways?
I hope they come up with I hope like the backstory for Mark II is that all of them, this version, all of them died. It's like the Suicide Squad. None of them came back. They went out on their first mission and none of them came back. So whoever the Nick Fury of this world is like, oh well, another group of people, I guess. What are the takeaways? Yeah, okay, like the first thing I said is like, to me it is just, it's just the distastefulness of something that has the vibe of a typical government public service campaign paired with cynicism and sarcasm and shit posting attitude. Like, to me, that combination, especially in a time where people are in crisis, where people are in economic crisis, people are in physical crisis, health crisis, like, it's not what we need right now. And the other thing is, it's so rushed. It's like, fundamentally, it's not a bad idea, but it does very much feel like the default to let's make superheroes as mascots feels very much how do you do fellow kids. And that's why you need a room, you need a writer's room. Like, no, you need a writer's Zoom meeting now, I guess. Like, you can't physically have people in the same room, but you need people to, like every advertising, like, I forgot who said this, but every marketing team, every social media team of every corporation has to have a 14-year-old on staff who's like, no, don't do this. People will meme the shit out of this. Don't do it. And it feels like they didn't have that person.
Yeah.
And I think, like, the importance of that, like, second pair of eyes is so underestimated when you're creating something.
I think I don't know. I always feel like this sort of like insensitivity or cringiness comes down to the fact that we don't really treasure the humanities here.
Yeah, that's right. It's a hellhole that an obsession with STEM has gotten us into. And that, like, no, I mean, I do so many things for free, and it's just expected. It's just expected that all the things I do for free, because the thing I do has no inherent value. And then this is, I mean, I'm not trying to make this about myself, but, like, that attitude, the logical conclusion of that is you have things like this. Because how do you engage hearts and minds through the arts? Right? People have an emotional response to music. People have an emotional response to stories. People don't have an emotional response to Excel sheets unless something is very wrong with you. In that case, I don't judge. But yeah.
It's like, for me, one of my takeaways, like you said, this just seems so rushed. The thing about art is that I think, like, the process of it, like, the energy and time that you put in is very asymmetrical. So, yeah, okay, you can draw 5 characters in a day, probably.
Sure, yeah.
But the thought that you have to put behind it, into their backstories, into how this is gonna be received by people, that takes a lot of time to think of, you know? That's what, but then the actual drawing itself, it takes a day. And then the actual time that people take to process each character, it's only a few minutes. Or in our case, we deep dived into it for like how many hours now? I don't know. But this is what happens when you base everything that you make in a character of previous tropes without really thinking of the implications of it, and then you only have the aesthetic of like a superhero because, oh my gosh, superheroes are trendy, why don't we make a government campaign of that? You only have the aesthetic there, but there's no thought behind it. It's an asymmetrical process.
And that's, to me, the thing is like what drove you to the desperation of needing to trace, and it's time.
Yeah.
So if Mars had a few more weeks, he wouldn't have done
or even a few more days, honestly.
Yeah.
I feel like this is really just done in one day.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Like he had no time to really conceptualize anything. And just
and I feel like underneath a lot of this, I mean, I don't mean to try to assume motivations, but I think a big part of this is, this is for the government, it doesn't have to be good. And I think like that's how I feel about so many local things. Like this is local
just
TV.
One of
it
them.
Doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be good. Nothing has to be good, and then nothing is good.
And the standards
And to
just
me,
get
that is
lower
like-
and lower, and you accept that for your local art scene.
And it's so sad because, just as I said in our very first test episode, there's talent. There's no lacking of talent, but it's just that the people who are talented are told very early that what you're doing is a waste of time, and so they are not given the space and the attention and the mentorship and the correct environments to encourage them to create something that is good, because very early they learn that making something good, taking that effort, it counts for nothing.
Yeah.
And I think like that's this like so increases and reinforces the hopelessness that I feel as someone who is in the creative kind of industry in Singapore, and like every day I just feel worse and worse and worse about it. And to me, this is like, at the very least we can do is laugh at it. because if we don't, it will just make me very, very sad.
And just
So that's where I am with the virus.
also to just do better, right? Do better than this, really.
And it's like learn I mean the scary thing to me is that someone at gov.sg will go, no, people are being assholes. There's nothing wrong with this at all. And like, if you've ever worked in that kind of an environment, like there are people like that all over the place. It's like that Principal Skinner is like the Principal Skinner image macro from Simpsons. Oh, the children are wrong.
Like everything is great and up to me until something is not received well. Then it's other people who are sensitive and don't understand.
And that perpetuates the low standard. And it's frustrating because it's like so many people responded to this with very creative things of their own. And it shows us that the talent is out there, but there's no belief placed in the talent. Yeah. And then the result is something like
I've
this.
seen so much amazing artwork from all over the world, also under the same concept of kind of personifying a battle with this virus.
Oh yeah,
right?
I have as well. Yeah.
Like I think it's a Taiwanese artist, or it was like almost like a shonen manga kind of take on it. It was really good. And just like really sweet things, like there's one about like this little sick Earth, and then all the other planets are sort of like sending it love from outside the theater. And another one earlier where it was like, I think at the beginning of the crisis when the lockdown was just in Wuhan, there was a picture of like, I guess it was Wuhan spicy noodles. They have these spicy dry noodles.
It's like a bowl of noodles.
And they put that.
And then all the other provinces
that was so cute. And I was like, that was very sweet. I've seen really sweet stuff like that. And then you also have this, and it's embarrassing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's so frustrating because it's like, it just feels like this is where we'll always be. We'll be stuck here at this level. Like, how many years has it been since VR, man? 20 plus years? Like, yeah, the needle hasn't moved at all. And it's so frustrating to think that things are not better.
It's just been months since that, since a bunch of, we still had really bad, CNB drug-free films, you know? We still haven't gone over those yet. We gotta talk about that one day.
And like this is, and even like, it's so crazy because for those, like, there was the interactive film they hired Royston Tan, right? So
actually the interactive film wasn't that bad, but
right, yeah. So there is some thought that's going into some of these things, but there's no thought that's going into the virus mecha. So like, you can have a lavish campaign that is directed by an acclaimed director, and at the end of the day it's like kind of pointless and cringe-inducing, but there's still some kind of merit to it. But there's like no merit to this. And it kind of like, reading it and thinking about the further implications digs out a little hole in your soul. And that's not what we need right now. Because Lord knows there are enough holes in everyone's soul as it is.
I want to spend a bit talking about how we've sort of, in the background of all of this, sort of failed the foreign workers that live here and come to build this country. And I just, I do wish that there was more acknowledgement from of them in these sort of efforts, like all these transient workers, you know, who are so far away from their families.
Which newspaper it was that said, like, these are the backs on which the gleam of Singapore is built. And that was like such a scathing indictment, but also something that is so true. Yeah. And it's like, oh, this is what people don't want you to see.
And just in the end, we just, it's all just the aesthetic that we have.
The traced aesthetic.
Yeah. But you know, I think that I don't want to end on like a doomer note.
Downer.
Nah.
Yeah.
So what about Drake? What are your takeaways from your situation? Because we haven't gotten to you yet.
I mean, it is obviously bad. I mean, I'm not gonna. I didn't expect it to be good, but I also didn't expect it to be so bad. Like, my first thought was this was so much worse than I thought it was gonna be. But like without reading much into it, like just like my group of friends like kind of just like saw it briefly and then laughed about it and then kind of moved on. Like we didn't really go into like deep dive into this 2-hour conversation, which was interesting. And I learned a lot because I don't really know anything about art. It's I just keep reading the backstories over and over again, and it's just so sad.
Yeah, like at a certain point you expect that you go back to it and it will change.
And it's like, is it really as bad?
In Sonia's case, it did
Like,
change.
is it really as bad as I thought it was? Oh yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. But I think, okay, to like not, sorry,
It's okay.
didn't mean to cut you off. Wow.
Oh,
Like to yeah. Go ahead, Drake. I'm sorry, we can't see each other as context. So,
We are getting used to working from home.
We are indeed.
quote unquote woke. It's just compared to last night. Like when I first read this last night, it was mostly just funny to me. But like as we went through the analysis of it earlier, it was then that I realized like, oh wow, some of these are really quite problematic. Because I didn't really pay much attention last night when I first read this, to be honest. And I think that's what most people who see this are like. It's just, oh well, the government made another shitty campaign. Is normal. We move on. Yeah. But there's so many layers to this. So many layers to which it was fucked over.
Yeah.
And that's why it's not just another
Exactly.
shitty campaign. Like even the action of dragging the band of doodlers under the bus.
And just the whole feeling of like this is how cynical we've become of our own art and our artists.
Yeah.
That you know,
this is
they
what
will
it means.
We will just kind of do this. We will accept any kind of work. And I think that's what the guy who drew it said, like, you know, I'm grateful to accept any sort of income in this time. Any piece of art I can draw, I would take it.
So much work,
and it hurts, you know, even though I know people who kind of, I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter that much to them. They might listen to this and be like, oh, you guys are too sensitive. It's just a comic. Why did you spend 2 hours? Not even a comic. It's just 5 drawings. Why did you spend 2 hours talking about it? And it goes deeper than that. It speaks to a cynicism towards art in the heart of the nation, you know?
It does, yeah. And like the feeling of this doesn't matter, and sooner or later we've got to come around on that, because it's like you've seen the meme of what is everyone doing in lockdown, what is everyone doing in quarantine. We are watching Netflix, we're playing video games, we're reading books, we're reading comics. It's all, we're consuming art, and so how can you say art is not important after that? So yeah, that's kind of where we are. Like I think there was no way to talk about this without it eventually reaching a downer note, because that's where the realization is. But at the same time, think of how great it is that someone's superpowers are derived from their hatred of a rival sports team. Like that is so sublime and beautiful.
And like
it's a precious little flower.
And
Mama Man is
to be so heartbroken over not being with your girlfriend from secondary school that you become Google.
You go around hitting people on the head with a hammer.
Yeah, it's just you know, in another context, if we thought about it more, we could try and make it work, you know? I mean, I just don't think that it's a good campaign. I do think that if you just deconstructed all of this could actually be kind of funny. But, you know, it is, after all, a campaign, and a lot of people just don't have any sense of humor or subtlety here, or nuance.
Yeah, and it's like, I've seen a number of posts from friends even who are saying, why are people making a big deal out of this? Why are people upset about this? It's just something silly. Let's just move on. And to me, it would have stayed that way if not for the gov.sg reaction.
Yeah.
Like, it became much more than that. Once you started, like, reading Master's statement, and once they started tagging Band of Doodlers, people started review bombing.
That is so shady. That is so
like,
shady.
Tagging Band of
It
Doodlers.
is, yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so the thing, and they knew that they worked just with Mars. So they it's not like someone who wasn't involved with this was writing that post.
And they put him on blast.
So yeah,
You'd never put any of the artists on blast unless it turns out wrong like this.
Yeah.
And the thing that triggered everyone into reacting was Mawa Man of all people.
Yeah,
not the trillionaire.
Not Dr. Disinfectant.
Who was flushed down the toilet.
Yeah.
And whose name was Darshita.
Which they changed. They knew it was bad.
So, yeah. That's the thing. The thing is, like, once you know, so to me, that's the thing. The amount of shadiness that is, like, suffused through all of this, right? There's just, like, this diffuse layer of shadiness. That's so difficult to ignore.
Yeah.
Like, it's so much, like if you think about the Care Pack song, it's like, there is no extra layer of maliciousness.
Yeah, it's shallow, and that's okay.
Yeah, and then it just, like, so no one really gets worked up about it. Like, everyone, like, stops and laughs at it for a little while. But this is something where you stop and laugh for it, and then the longer that you laugh at it, the more you realize what you're laughing at and how much worse it is than what you thought it was. And I think that's absolutely, like, goes back to what Drake said. Like, when Drake was talking about the first time he saw it, he just, like, laughed at it with friends. And I think that's where it stops for most people. But then, like, this exposes almost surgically all of the problems and all of the fundamental problems and attitude towards the importance of arts, of the art in a public sphere. And it's like, it's just like the more you think about it, the worse you feel. So yeah, this is 2 hours, and I feel like we should end it here. But also, I can't wait for Virus Vanguard Mark 2.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the better, more improved version.
I hope so. We will probably go through a few more of these messes in the future, which I just like. There's so much out there that I want to share with you guys and to talk about and to look at, because it's just insane. And
things that originate in this nation that make us frustrated, if you will.
And it's like, there is like a creative energy behind it, but it's like strange and malicious, you know?
Yeah, it is channeled into this. Like, yeah.
Okay,
yes.
Going a bit off topic, speaking of things going around the internet, there's this thing that's I've kind of wanted to talk about, was that people are saying if you don't use this time being at home to be productive, like, you don't lack time, you lack discipline.
Oh, the quarantine.
Fuck off.
Oh my god, stop, shut the fuck up.
There's a girl on TikTok, like a Singaporean girl on TikTok, who made a TikTok about it.
Yes.
Did I show you guys?
No, but I saw it. Just
no.
Shut the fuck up. Nobody wants to, like, this is a traumatic experience for everybody. People are suffering, and you want me to draw and write songs?
You want me to learn a new language?
Yeah, like, fuck off.
Learn to code.
Like, time isn't.
I don't know why all of you are getting worked out about this. If you graduated at 14 from MIT like I did, all of you would realize how easy it is to be productive during this time.
People are struggling. Not everyone has the privilege to suddenly take up sourdough baking classes.
Yeah, some people have kids.
Oh yeah.
And like, okay, so SUSS is doing this, instead of doing exams, they're doing timed online assignment. So like, during the exam date and the time, you will receive like a kind of paper that you have to complete and send back within a certain amount of time. And there was a petition going around saying, no, can we not? Because some people, like, not everybody has like a conducive environment at home.
Yeah.
Some people have kids, they can't just leave alone for 2 hours to do your paper. Because they can't send them off to childcare. Like, and it made a lot of sense. So like, when
you have kids, I have a sourdough.
Yeah, so like, when speaking to like having to be productive and saying like, you if you don't use this time to do the shit that you to be productive, you're wasting it, you're blah 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 blah. It's just
you never lacked time, you lacked discipline.
Like, fuck off, time is not all that you need to be productive.
And I think, like, to this is actually not as off topic as you might have thought, because I was watching the news the other day and they were talking about the COVID-19 content creation fund. And they were saying how, IMDA is putting this amount of money out in grants and this is the time to work on your ideas, and this is the time to improve your skills, and this is the time to learn.
Because a lot of people were getting laid off.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then it's
I mean, I only just got editing software this year on my computer, despite knowing how to use Premiere Pro for many years now.
I have Paint.
You have Paint.
I have MS Paint, and I'm not afraid to use it.
I have Google Drive.
Some people rely on going to school or to work to use certain software. You can't pull out like Adobe Creative Suite out of nowhere unless you crack it.
Yeah, people don't have 3D printers in their house. I mean, most people don't have 3D printers in their house.
It's just I mean, this is another topic we can go into another day, where
there's so many things to be frustrated about in
the
this
Constitution,
nation, if you will.
in just like the national psyche, there's an interpretation of people as resources, you know?
Yeah.
Like Singapore's only resource is its people.
Only natural resource is people. So we must melt everyone down into goo and then drink it.
That's circuit breaker's fuel, by the way. People.
So don't be fooled by Minimo's like.
I don't think Minimo knows its dark secrets. Like,
I don't think Minimo knows anything.
Because she's 12 and probably in the GEP program.
Well, big deal. Dr. Disinfector graduated MIT at 14.
No.
All right, that's about it.
I think we should end it.
Okay.
I think we should end it before I further spiral.
Yeah.
This has been Frustration Nation.
Thank you for tuning in.
Stay safe.
So that's it. All right. Okay. Take care of yourselves.
Do not get accidentally flushed out the toilet and or the sink. Don't do that.
Yeah, and stay away from each other, or Mawa Man will come repel you to the streets.
Push you, with his strong hatred for Liverpool.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.